Wake up in the grind, clock ticking, 20 minutes flat, freedom main-handed, knives built where the real...
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the 20-Minute Freedom Project. I am your host, Josh Lopez, and this show is for those who want ownership, discipline, freedom, and to build a life they have always wanted, one that is earned and not handed to them. And we're going to talk about something that you might find on a pillow or a motivational poster, and it's about hope and faith. What also might come to mind is when someone talks about faith and hope, they may be coming across as they don't have a real answer. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the wishful thinking or the I wish this would happen or I have faith this will happen and not doing any of the work about it. I'm talking about the kind of hope and faith you need when you're standing on the edge of a cliff that is your decision that could change your life potentially, and you don't have any inkling of a safety net. I'm talking about the kind of hope and faith that you need when you're running out of guarantees. When you don't have the full plan, when you don't have the whole map, when you don't even know if it's going to work. But you know one thing, you can't stay where you are. The biggest moments in our lives usually don't announce themselves. They don't show up with dramatic music. They show up quietly while you're driving. Maybe you're in the shower. You're lying in bed staring at the ceiling. And that thought comes back to you again. The same one. I should leave this job. I should start that business. I should have that conversation. I should get serious about my health. I should move. I should stop living like this. And I'm sure you could name half a dozen other ones. And every time those show up, you do what most people do. You negotiate with it. Not yet. Soon. After this season. When things calm down. When I have more money. When I feel more confident. When I'm maybe more ready. But the thought keeps coming back. And it's not because it's convenient. It's because it's true. And it's the thing that is nagging at you day in and day out. We can keep trying to push it down and push it down and push it away and ignore it, but it always comes back. It always is in the background running, no matter what we're doing. And we got to remember that we always have a higher ability to do those things that maybe someone else doesn't see that we have to do. We have a mission in our life that maybe it doesn't fit into everybody else's bucket, but it's what we're here to do. It's what we're driven to do. And one of those lies that most of us tell ourselves when those things come up, on top of everything, where they need to be ready, they need more time, maybe when life is better. There's another one that always seems to pop up. I need to have a full plan before I move. Not the guidelines of a plan, basic outline, the full plan laid out in black and white so you know every single move. Life doesn't work like that. And you want to know why? Because the timing is never going to be ready. And you don't need to have that full plan. You need a reason. You need a direction. And the next step. That's it. Because the most important decision in your life never comes with certainty. Think about a time if you're married where you 100% certain that this was going to work? I don't think you were. Were you 100% certain that you knew all the tricks and the ins and outs of raising kids? Pretty sure you didn't, because kids don't come with a book. You can read all the books you want, but every kid is a little bit different and they need to be handled certain ways. You can have 3 different kids and they all need parented 3 different ways. Maybe when it came to starting a business. Business is one of those things that definitely you can't be certain about. You can do all the market research you want, but that does not mean that you are actually going to get the outcome you desire. Maybe we change directions a little bit, and maybe we go to changing your life. There's definitely no certainty in changing your life. Maybe you're going to change a job, where you live. Maybe you're going to buy a house. Where's the certainty in that? You can have a job, but what happens if you lose it in 3 months? There's tons of uncertainty everywhere in life. And if you wait for your certainty, you will basically committing to a life where you never do anything meaningful. You will always stay almost ready, and you will stay that way forever. And I know you're probably thinking that it feels safe, but if you really get down to the brass tacks, you're drifting. And drifting is how so many people slowly suffocate their potential and never reach the lives that they ultimately wanted for themselves. This is where the operator versus drifter distinction really matters. A drifter waits until they feel ready. A drifter waits until the fear is gone. A drifter waits until the conditions are perfect. An operator, on the other hand, moves even while fear is in the room. It's lurking over your shoulder. You're not certain. You've never done this before. You're very uncomfortable in the situation. But you're not moving recklessly. You're not moving stupidly, but you're moving deliberately. An operator understands that something that most people never seem to learn. The confidence and the clarity is not a prerequisite. The confidence and the clarity is the receipt. And that's after you pay the bill. You don't feel brave, and then you act. You act, and then you discover you're braver than you thought. Most people spend their entire lives trying to feel different before they act. Operators act, and that's what changes how they feel. I can't remember where I heard it or who told me this, but the biggest change in the way you feel is to get your body moving. If you're feeling uncomfortable, get moving. If you're feeling fearful, get moving. If you feel that you are uncertain, get moving. Change your state. Maybe do some push-ups. Maybe do some, heaven forbid, some burpees. We all love those burpees. But what you need to do is you actually need to change your state. Once you change your state, it opens up a whole new viewpoint for the situation that you're in. Let's talk about hope for a minute. Because we use that word in a very lazy way, hope is not pretending things are fine. Hope is not lying to yourself. Hope is not ignoring the reality right in front of you. Hope is the decision to believe that there is a future worth moving forward to. Desmond Tutu once said that hope is being able to see that there is a light despite all of the darkness. Not because the darkness isn't real, because we know the darkness is. We all feel it at one time or another, but because it isn't final. All you have to do in that darkness is turn on a flashlight to change what you're able to see. That flashlight's light will shine through the darkness. In psychology, hope is often described as two things. The first is agency, the belief that I can move. And the other is pathways, which is the belief that I can find a way. In normal language, hope is not wishful thinking. Hope is energy plus adaptability. It says I'm not done. I'm not stuck. I'm not finished. I'll figure this out. And a lot of people don't need more motivation. They need to remember that they are not powerless. Now let's talk about faith. Faith is not ignoring risk. Faith is not being reckless. Faith is not pretending you're not scared. Faith is acting on truth before you can see the outcome. If we take the Bible's example, for instance, it defines it in a way that is quite simple, easy to understand, and you can find it in Hebrews 11:1, and it says, "Now faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Think about that for a minute. Faith is not the absence of uncertainty. Faith is the moment in the present that you are feeling uncertain. Faith is the moment in the presence of uncertainty. Even Martin Luther King Jr. is often quoted as saying, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. Whether he said it exactly like that or not, the idea still is true. You almost never get the full staircase. You get one step, then the next, and then the next, and then the next one after that. Let's be honest about what actually stops people. It's not the logistics. It's not the resources. It's not the lack of the information that they have. It's this question. What if I do this and it still doesn't work? You can extrapolate that out to even other questions. What if I do this and I fail? Which is similar to the first one, but you're changing the wording slightly. The next one could be, what if I do this and it works or it doesn't work? And what are people going to think? If you really think about it, those questions have killed more dreams than lack of talent ever has. Because if you stay where you are, you get to keep your excuses. If I only had X, if the timing was better, if only I had more money. But when you leap, now it's on you. The accountability is heavy. It weighs greatly on your shoulders. Here's what fear does. Fear only talks about the cost of action. It never talks about the cost of inaction. But inaction has a price too. And it can bankrupt you. The cost of staying in the job you hate. The cost of staying in a relationship that drains you. Maybe it's the cost of staying unhealthy. The cost of maybe staying small. The cost of deciding that you're going to stay stuck. That cost is called regret. And regret compounds day over day. That we choose to put all things that we want to do and what we desire to tomorrow. Because ultimately tomorrow will turn into tomorrow, and then the next day, and the next day, and the next day. We can keep putting that off until we cannot put it off anymore. Because ultimately, each and every one of us has an expiration date. And when we get to that expiration date, we are not going to be worried about what we ultimately achieved. We might be happy about what we achieved, but the biggest part of that is going to be the regret of what you didn't do, what you skipped out on, what you didn't make happen. That's why so many people have bucket lists. And when they actually get the ability to know that the end might be close, they choose to take those bucket list items and start checking them off. Things that they've never done, things that they felt uncomfortable doing, things that they've always wanted to do, but they couldn't muster the fortitude to actually accomplish. There's a quote I think that everyone should truly take to heart. And that quote is attributed to Christopher Reeve. Once you choose hope, anything is possible. But let me truly add something to that. Choosing hope doesn't mean everything works. It means you finally start moving, and movement changes everything. Because once you start moving, you start gaining momentum. There's an old saying that is, a rolling stone gathers no moss. It's gaining momentum. It's not being stagnant. It's always moving. And the moss cannot grow on something that is moving. Let me say something carefully here. God does not usually give you the full map. He gives you the next step, or the door or the window that he's opened that you have the choice of going through or not. Throughout Scripture, there is that pattern everywhere. Abraham didn't get the full blueprint. He got a command to go. Moses didn't get the whole story. He got a burning bush and a direction. Peter didn't have a 5-year plan. He got, follow me. We want explanations. God gives invitations, and the invitation is almost always uncomfortable. Here's what most people don't realize. Big decisions are never just tactical. They're identity decisions. You're not just deciding to start a business. You're deciding to become the kind of person who takes responsibility and takes action. You're not just deciding to be disciplined. You're deciding to stop identifying as someone who tries and start identifying as someone who does. That's why it feels so heavy. You're not just risking comfort. You're risking the old version of yourself that you're moving past and growing to becoming a new version of yourself, leaving the old one behind. Everyone lives by a story. Some people live by this one, which is, I'm the kind of person who plays it safe. Others might live by, I'm the kind of person who waits until I'm sure. Another might be, I'm the kind of person who almost does things. Operators live by a different story. I'm the kind of person who moves when it's time. I get shit done. All right, let's make it real. This is not a cute little exercise. This is a decision-making protocol. So get your notebook or get the Note app on your phone. Step 1, you're going to name the leap. You're going to write, the leap I know I need to take is, and you're going to answer the question. What is the leap you have that you need to take? We're not looking for 5 here. We're looking for 1. The one that is going to move the needle the most in your life. If you want to, you can do the 4 different areas of your life. But that's it. 1 area in all 4 areas of your life. But nothing more. Step 2 is name the fear. You're going to write, what I'm actually afraid will happen is, fill in the blank. And we're not talking about the surface level fear here. We're talking about the real one. This might take a minute to get to, but you need to find what you're actually afraid will happen. Step 3, you're going to calculate the cost of not leaping. You're going to write down, if I do nothing for the next 12 months, I will pay the price of, write the price down. And you have to be honest. This is where the courage starts, because you actually have to quantify the amount of cost that you are wasting by postponing something for the next 12 months. Because you can say that you're going to do it tomorrow, but like I said before, tomorrow turns into the next day, turns into the next day, and turns into the next day. And before you know it, that 12 months is up. And you still have not made any moves towards that thing. Step 4, build your hope map. You're going to write agency in big, bold letters. Why I can handle this is, you're going to list at least 5 reasons. And if you chose to expand a little bit and do the 4 areas of your life, you're going to write down 5 real reasons for each one of those. Then you're going to take and you're going to write pathways. And you're going to write 3 ways this could work is, and you're going to list out 3. Clear path, the messy path, and the survival path. Because not everything is going to be clean and perfect. You can write out the perfect ideal scenario in the clean path. The messy path is going to be here, there, everywhere. You're going to ADHD it. What would that look like? And the last one is the survival path, where everything seems to come at you, which it will. What does that path look like? What's the struggle? What is it going to look like? How is it going to feel? Because you got to remember that hope is not one plan. Hope is adaptable. You're going to be able to change depending on what life throws at you. Step 5 is choose the first step. You're going to write, in the next 24 hours, I will do this one step, and then fill it out. Just like I said before, if you overachiever and you decide to do one per area of your life, you're going to write 4 different things, one for each area. And that's the one step you're going to take in the next 24 hours. You have to make it unavoidable and uncomfortable. If it's not at least a little uncomfortable, it's not the right step that you need to start taking. And step 6 is create a faith anchor. You're going to write, even if this is hard, I believe this is true. Some examples might be, I was made for more than comfort. Maybe I'm being shaped, not punished. Another one might be, I need certainty to take the next step. God can open doors I can't see yet. My future is worth temporary discomfort. Those are just examples. You can write the thing that you choose in that area. Step 7 is the operator standard. You're going to write, the operator version of me does this next. And then you're going to write that out. Then say it out loud. I'm not waiting to feel ready. I'm choosing hope. I'm acting in faith. I'm taking the next step. The people you admire are not fearless. They're just practiced. They've trained themselves to move with fear present. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They build momentum, and momentum creates the clarity, not the other way around. The real question is not, will this work? The real question is, who do I become if I never try? Some of you are one decision away from a completely different life. Not 10 decisions, but 1. You already know what that is. You don't need more time. You don't need more information. You need hope to believe there's more and faith to take the next step. As Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And Desmond Tutu reminded us hope is being able to see that there is a light despite all of the darkness. And once you choose hope, you finally start moving. Operators don't wait for certainty. They move with standards. They move with courage. They move with faith. And if this episode hits you, don't just listen to it. Do the work. Take the step. Not just someday, but today. And if this episode made you think, woke you up, changed you in some way, share it out to a friend, family member, maybe post it on your social media. If you haven't yet, leave a 5-star review for the show. Between sharing it and your review, it's how the show grows and reaches more and more people that need it. And remember, freedom isn't found. It's built one step and leap of faith at a time. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and I will catch you guys on the next one.